is, of course, the sister of Leah, and Jacob had to work for a long, long time to get Rachel. Rachel of old, and urged me, Beatrice, true glory of God, can you not come to the aid of one who had such love for you? He rose above the common crowd. Do you not heed the pity of his cries? Notice compassion and pity are also a part of the second canto. And do your eyes not see death near him? In a flood, the ocean itself can boast no power to surpass. Never, in other words, he's about to drown. And we're about, of course, now we're back to Odysseus there in his ocean after Polyphemus, after Poseidon has jacked him because Polyphemus was blinded by Odysseus, and there he is swimming, and he's got to get to the Isle of the Phaeacians. And you'll remember in that passage that we were talking as we were working through it in the Odyssey, you'll remember that it was like he can see the land, but he can't quite get there. It becomes, of course, a powerful symbol, right? She says all of that. Never on earth has anyone spurned to motion so quickly, to seize advantage or fly from danger, as at these words I hurried here from heaven. In other words, Virgil says, when I was told by Beatrice that this was going on behind the scenes, I immediately was ready to come and find you. Trusting your eloquence, whose gift brings honor both to yourself and to all those who listen. Right? In other words, she says, I trust, Virgil, you have the eloquence to be able to say what needs to be said. Having thus said this, she turned toward me, the splendor of her eyes lucent with tears. We're going to see at the end of the Divine Comedy that God and paradise is really just light, pure light, right? Which made me hasten to save you even more eagerly than before. In other words, Virgil says, this is what drove me to hurry and get down here. And so, he says, I rescued you on the fair mountain where the beast blocked the short way up. Now, let's put that short way up in our notes. Reading the Divine Comedy is a long, hard journey. For you, the reader, no question, and for Dante, the pilgrim. And of course, we would say as well for Dante, the poet. I mean, it took a long time for him to write a poem like this. There's no shortcut, in other words, to heaven. There's no shortcut to being back on the road and being disciplined again and the like. And of course, again, you don't have to be religious to relate to this. Any time, for example, people who train, who have fallen out of training, pick up their training again. One of the things they always say is, man, it's a lot of hard work to come back and start doing this project all over again. Or think about it every September when you begin school after your time off in summer and how hard it is to say, okay, let's get back on the pony and ride some more. Therefore, what is this? Why should you hold back? Why be a coward rather than bolder, freer? This is going to be a poem, by the way. Put it in your notes. It's going to be a poem about freedom. Freer. Since in the court of heaven, for your sake, 3 blessed ladies watch. That is to say, Mary, obviously Lucy, and Beatrice, right? In other words, you got all these people pulling for you. Now, these eyes that are watching, okay, is going to be significant. Put this at 3a. These eyes are going to be significant when we get to T.S. Eliot's Hollow Men. Those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom, remember us if at all, not as lost violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. The idea there for T.S. Eliot is there are people who have lived and died who are on the other side. They have direct eyes. They are watching what it is that we are doing as a modern, postmodern culture, and they're kind of shaking their heads going, I can't believe how bad this is for you guys. So we have the same game being played. In other words, you're being watched. Make sure you stand up well. Do the right thing, in other words. He says, since in heaven, the court of heaven, for your sake, 3 blessed ladies watch, and words of mine have promised a good as great as you might seek. In other words, come on, let's go. Then we get a simile. This will not shock us from our study of the Aeneid, especially the Aeneid, where Virgil loved to talk about flowers. As flowers bent and shrunken by night at dawn, unfold and straighten on their stems to wake, brightened by sunlight, so I grew strong again. It's a wonderful little epic simile. It's a brief one. It's not one of the long ones that we'll see. And this is characteristic of Dante. He doesn't have as long these epic similes, but they're powerful. In the darkness of night, the flower starts to droop, and then all of a sudden the sunshine hits it, and whoop, and it stands up. In other words, good courage will continue. Coursing through my heart, I spoke like one set free. Don't miss the way Dante is constructing an idea that we are as free as we allow ourselves to be. I would write that mantra down. We're going to come back to it over and over again in our study of Dante. You are as free as you allow yourself to be. And notice here all of a sudden, he begins to feel more freedom and therefore more courage coursing through his heart. And now he speaks like one set free. How full of true compassion was she who helped me. How courteous and quick were you to follow her bidding. And your narration has restored my spirit. We're going to see this restoration of spirit when we meet Wordsworth, the great English romantic poet, in Tintern Abbey. That notion that your spirit can be restored. You can feel good, happy again. Now, on, he says at line 110. For I feel eager to go with you and cleave to my first intention. In other words, okay. I know I told you I was ready to go. Then I had some doubts. Now I'm ready to go, right? I'm back to it. Notice the word cleave, to hold on tightly. He will in fact have to hold on tightly because a number of times Dante the Pilgrim will be ready to quit. We read those lines in our opening lecture, Up on Your Feet, right? He says, from now, we two will share one will together. In other words, he says, I'm ready. I'm ready to be what? A student. I think this is powerful stuff. We can read this symbolically as, what does it take to actually learn? Well, go back to Plato's cave allegory in Republic 7. You have to be willing to endure fear and pain, to come out of that darkness of that cave and the shadows on the wall, to see the true light of the sun, that is to say for Plato the good. From now on, he says, from now, we two will share one will together. You are my spirit, you are my teacher, my master, and my guide. Notice it's three. Teacher, master, guide. So I spoke. When he moved, I followed after and entered on that deep and savage road. We can't help but think of Walt Whitman's song of the open road. Afoot and light-hearted I take to the open road, healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Of course, Whitman knew well his Dante, right? Okay, so that's the second canto. Let's go quickly now to level 2s and 3. Got 2A. Some major messages. Well, don't forget, this is one of the clear messages right from the very beginning of this poem. Don't forget, there are people out there who love you. There are people out there who care. There are people out there who want to see you do better. But sometimes they will manifest that caring by challenging you, directing you, helping you, forcing you maybe even. Go back to our very earliest conversations about my son Mikey as a young lad learning to ride his bike without those training wheels. He did not like it that I took those training wheels off. I was helping him. He just didn't see it at the time. A second message. We all have the freedom to choose, but sometimes cowardice will keep us from making the right choice. Clearly a message. A third one. You can't be a coward and do great things. Going on this journey will require a certain kind of bravery. But notice that bravery comes by being reminded that there are those who want him to succeed. Think about that the next time that you begin to struggle. There are people in your life that genuinely want to see you succeed, right? Find out who those adults are in your life, who those colleagues are in your life, friends are in your life, and remember to say thank you for those people. At level 3A, well, our symbolism, there's a lot of it here. Let's just say that Beatrice obviously is the symbol of the one who cares, the one who will come to try and deliver help. The irony, as we're always looking for that in this text, is that Dante, the writer, he's brave enough to try writing this poem, while Dante, the pilgrim, is kind of scared to try this journey, right? Or the inverse, we might say. Of course, we said we're going to look at Dante as poet. Well, think about Dante, the pilgrim, hearing from Virgil, the poet, telling about the three women who were involved, Mary, Lucy, and Beatrice, that are sent to Virgil to come back to Dante. That layering effect, that poetic layering effect, it is brilliant. It is brilliant. Dante is politician. Well, he said it. Notice at line 27, no one values me. He obviously is making a direct, indirect, slanted statement about Florence. Finally, as philosopher, there's a lot that's going on in this, as we've already said, but notice this is going to be a poem about, for sure, two things. Remembering, memory, and, of course, the notion of free will. Notice how both of those are cardinal ideas, especially from our study of St. Augustine's Confessions, right? You have to hold on to certain things. You have to remember them. How do you do that? Stories. That's the whole point of the stories. That's one reason why we're doing, for example, a text like Dante's Inferno, because it will help us to remember, right, things that matter. Of course, the idea of are you free or not? Are you free? Or are we like the baseball that could talk once it's thrown into the air and it says, man, I'm really glad that I chose to fly today? Is that our existence? Or is our existence rather something we choose? The choices. And are we in fact the choices that we make? Is it our responsibility? And that determinism question, that's going to be one of the cardinal questions, obviously, for St. Augustine, obviously for Aquinas, as we talked about in our Augustine lectures, but it's also going to be a major, major question for Dante, and then it will culminate, many argue, in Milton's Paradise Lost, that great poem of theodicy as we've defined it. At 3b, a couple of questions to maybe help you relate to this. What was a time that you felt, like Dante kind of said it here, unworthy, up to the task, not quite capable? You had your self-doubts, and you kind of sat there wondering, man, I don't know if I can do this or not. When was the last time that happened for you? And how did it end for you? Were you able to overcome your fears and find some courage, or no? What was a time, you knew this one was coming, right? What was a time when someone helped you? I mean, you couldn't do it by yourself, but that someone who helped you was actually sent by a third party. So in other words, there was the person who came and helped you, but there was this third party, right, that kind of decided, you know what, I think that person needs help. I'll ask this question because we didn't ask it when we were reading. Which is more important? The one who does the sending, for example, Mary or Beatrice or Lucy, or Virgil, the one who comes? Which is more important? The one who does the sending or the one who is sent? And obviously you can reverse all these questions and ask, when was the last time you were sent to help someone? When you look at the people that you pass in the halls of our school, is there somebody right now whose name you can write down and say, I think I could play Virgil to their Dante the Pilgrim. I think I could help them, especially if they're younger. I've often said this to our ball players. Find somebody on the club or on the team younger who clearly is Dante the Pilgrim. You can be the Virgil. You can send help. You can send the word of encouragement. Well, that's Canto 2. Let's now move to Canto 3, and let's go to the famous gates of hell. And we're going to have our minds blown right away, because there's going to be some words that are at the gates of hell that are going to kind of blow our minds. And of course, many years ago, some kind of cheeky student decided she would put these words above Mr. McGee's door. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. I hope that you have some hope to continue. Thank you.